wounded me, weakened my claim to the throne.
I declare war!
I cannot trust you, Daemon.
Rhaenyra's supporters will believe what they wish. And so will Aegon's.
This war will not be won with dragons alone, but with dragons flying behind armies of men.
The significance of Viserys' intentions died with him.
There is a war brewing.
The Riverlands are the key to the war. Harrenhal is the key to the Riverlands.
There is more than one way to fight a war.
I will not be seen as weak.
You're already seen as weak, Aegon.
Perhaps the presence of a dragon will sharpen minds round these parts.
The path I walk has never been trod.
Beware how you speak to your king.
We must seize the hour and act.
What we must do is terrible. Will you preside over it?
We must break the will of our enemy.
Before our enemy does.
Is there naught to be done but to claw for power?
There will be no mercy!
We have given the war to the dragons.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. House of the Dragon dropped a brand new Season 2, Episode 2 trailer. There's also footage from what they call the rest of the season, so there's probably through at least like episodes 4 or 5, but maybe not the entire season. We'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, I'm doing videos for all the episodes just like I did for Season 1 and for the main show. The other big thing, too, is that since Episode 1 released, I posted my big Episode 1 video, the showrunner has actually clarified a couple of questions that came up because of what happened during the episode. Particularly with Blood and Cheese and Helaena and Aegon's third son, Maelor. I'll talk about that at the end of the video. But just starting at the beginning of the trailer footage, Caraxes and Daemon seem like they're flying away from Dragonstone. Maybe this is after he has his falling out with Rhaenyra over the events of Blood and Cheese and how she feels it affects her during the Dance of the Dragons. People wondering why she says it weakens her claim on the Iron Throne. Like, what does this have to do with it? The idea is that now she'll be blamed for the events of Blood and Cheese, so people will spin it, like the Greens will spin it, that she meant to kill Jaehaerys so that the other lords of the realm, like pretty much everybody, will start hating her. The books actually say that her nickname given to her by the small folk in the rest of the realm during the Dance of the Dragons was Maegor with Teats, so the idea is that generally she's not viewed in a very positive light during the books. Then we see Rhaenyra in Dragonstone with her 2 new children with Daemon, Aegon III and Viserys II. She has many, many children, remember. As we get Aegon's voiceover of him reacting to what happened during Episode 1 in Blood and Cheese, the knowledge that Jaehaerys died, and thinking that it was Rhaenyra who was behind it. He absolutely loses it. Remember, he was right there, like he saw them, so he probably starts to realize and blame himself partly because of what happened, like, I was too drunk, I wasn't paying attention. The same way that Criston Cole feels deeply shameful for being derelict of duty, getting it on with Alicent when he should have been protecting Helaena. So he wants to retaliate, he wants to move to war, like vengeance, now. Notice him smashing Viserys' model of the ancient Valyrian freehold in a rage. R.I.P., that's like the greatest Lego set that Game of Thrones has ever tried to do. Viserys spent his entire life putting that together, and it explains why this doesn't exist in present day. These dogs are being used by the Kingsguard to try and find Blood and Cheese. Like you can see the Kingsguard just going around getting every small folk they can find. Do you know anything about what happened? This is Rhaenyra the day after heading to the Black Council meeting to discuss the aftermath. Notice how pissed off at Daemon she is. It causes this big rift. There's this big Daemon versus Rhaenyra thing going on where he basically loses all of her trust, and it's one of the reasons why he takes off and goes to Harrenhal. Notice on the map table, they also focus on Rook's Rest. That's where they'll fight their huge major dragon battle later this season. It's been in all the trailers, but it's in episode 4, mind you, and there's 8 episodes total. So there's still a big question about what's going to happen in the back half of the season if that's going to be their big WTF battle. What are they hiding? What are they cooking? They cut the scene of the map table and Rook's Rest with Aemond putting the ball down because Aemond and Vhagar are big during the battle at Rook's Rest. You see them in all the trailers too at that big battle. There's 2 different scenes, one of Daemon in the throne room looking at the Iron Throne and another of Aemond doing the exact same thing, like 2 completely different scenes, but they're doing the same thing. I think that Aemond is actually in the Iron Throne room looking at the Iron Throne, and Daemon is just having a vision of it, or maybe a dream. I don't know if it's a dragon dream. Like, there's no evidence that Daemon had dragon dreams in the books. But it does seem like Season 2 is getting a little more surreal, so we might see characters having different dreams or visions. There's a lot of different scenes of Daemon at Harrenhal. This might be from Episode 3 and beyond, too, because there's so much going on there. We see him arrive on Caraxes and entering the castle, Valyrian sword, Dark Sister in hand, in full armor with his helmet on. Nobody is there. Notice, like, it seems like it's completely empty, but you have to remember that Harrenhal is massive. So even if you had a normal amount of people there, it would still seem like it's empty. This scene in the fields is a fight between the Brackens and the Blackwoods, who've developed their own little version of the Hatfields and McCoys because of what happened during Season 1. When everyone was trying to court Rhaenyra as her suitor, the Brackens made fun of the younger Blackwood, who killed him in a fight, causing the feud over many years, which seems like it's only gotten bigger with time. During the actual fight here, part of the idea is the Blackwoods on the left have declared for Rhaenyra in the Dance of the Dragons and invaded the Brackens' land, thus the actual fight. We get a voiceover from Alicent talking to Larys Strong in a very foot-ready kind of position, like very easy access to her foot if it comes to that here, talking about how things have escalated to the point now after Blood and Cheese that neither side will really care what the actual truth of Viserys' wishes are, which we already know doesn't matter because it's false, like she believes a lie. The wishes that she says nobody will care about now are that Aegon would be king, but we know the truth is he was speaking about Aegon the Conqueror's dragon dream, and she just mistook when he mentioned the word Aegon, like, oh, Aegon, my Aegon. One of the very obvious weaknesses of naming all your children and grandchildren by the same name. All these dead soldiers on the beach are from House Darkland, who are Rhaenyra's supporters. It looks like it's after the sack of Duskendale, where the Green Army led by Criston Cole, Aegon, Vhagar did exactly that, like they marched on Duskendale and took it basically, pushing onward towards Rook's Rest to try and lay a trap for Rhaenyra in the Blacks. There's also a trailer shot of House Rosby with the Green Army. They're just south of Duskendale, so it seems like they pick up the Rosbys and then bolster their forces and then sack Duskendale. We see Corlys's bastards reunite at his flagship. Remember, they're brothers, Adamhole and Alanhole, but Alan is the dragon rider who winds up riding Sea Smoke. It seems like Adamhole just winds up being one of the commanders in Corlys's fleet at sea. This is Baela on Moondancer above Rook's Rest. We get a couple scenes of her at Rook's Rest. It seems like she arrives after the battle is over, though, because the books never tell of her actually participating in that battle. I've talked about this in previous videos, but they already said that they've changed some of the plot for Baela and Rhaena and made them much more active in the actual Dance of the Dragons. Same thing for Rhaenyra's character too, just because in the books they don't really participate that much in what's going on right now. So I think the workaround for Baela is that she shows up after the battle happens, because the actual battle itself is really critical to who winds up being there and fighting in it in the way that it all goes down. Aemond mentions that the war will be won with large armies of men in combination with the dragons. It's a reference to their need for armies amongst the great houses' allies bolstering their forces, and to remind you also, because Corlys Velaryon has this scene here, how important his forces, his fleet is to Rhaenyra's side, because he essentially controls the entire eastern seaboard. It's a really big thing. It's the reason why the Greens were talking about the Greyjoys and getting their help during Episode 1. Like, maybe we should make Greyjoy the master of ships. We could really use their ships. But at this point in history, Corlys Velaryon still has the strongest fleet, so the Greyjoys aren't quite as strong as they are later in the timeline. This is just the Green Army leaving King's Landing, probably heading to Duskendale. This is Vhagar at Rook's Rest. There's a bunch of battle shots from Rook's Rest because it's Episode 4, like the halfway point of the season. This is actually really interesting. This is Jace at the Twins, so he might be meeting with the Freys because they control the Twins. Remember how important the Riverlands is. Like, they mentioned it all during the finale from Season 1 and during Episode 1 as well. And throughout this trailer too. Like they say, the key to the Riverlands is Harrenhal. Everybody wants to control the Riverlands. Currently, though, it seems like Rhaenyra has the upper hand in technically control of the Riverlands, just based on the amount of support she has from the houses in this area. Then we get that shot of Daemon having that funny, not-so-friendly dinner with the current people residing over the castle Harrenhal. Simon Strong is the one in the books that surrenders the castle to Daemon when he arrives, so that might be one of these people he's having dinner with. The idea, though, is that Larys Strong is technically still the Lord of Harrenhal because the title passed to him after he killed his father and his brother Harwin Strong, who is father to Jace and Lucerys. We get Aegon with the Valyrian dagger in the small council meeting calling for revenge. This is probably right after Blood and Cheese. Notice Larys Strong, though, he's sitting on the small council, so this might be after he fires Otto Hightower. really interesting to see which episode that winds up happening in, because we can see more of that footage with Otto Hightower fighting with Aegon during the trailer. We get that scene of Hugh Hammer in the middle of a riot, more civil unrest from the small folk. This will only get worse. Like, piss the small folk off at your own risk. Part of that, I think, is because of Corlys's blockade. Like, no food is actually able to make it into King's Landing, so people are starting to starve. Hugh Hammer, though, important because he's also one of the Dragonseeds. He shows up at the dinner with Rhaenyra on Dragonstone at some point. That might be the second half of the season, though. Like, the Dragonseeds, they might tease by episode 4, and then they just, like, get into that during the second half of the season. This looks like Rhaenyra inside the library at Dragonstone, going into a chamber holding another massive dragon skull. Now, I thought for a second that it might be Balerion the Black Dread Skull, but it's not quite big enough for that, and that's supposed to be in the Red Keep. So unless she's secretly in the Red Keep here, and I don't think she is, in judging by the massive size, it could be Meraxes, Queen Rhaenys dragon. Fun fact too, a lot of people ask, like, where do all the dragons come from on the show, especially in the main show, the Game of Thrones. Most of the dragons on House the Dragon right now came from Meraxes dragon eggs, or Meraxes dragons, like Meraxes grandchildren essentially. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Vermithor, for instance, is Meraxes' child. Silverwing, Dreamfire, Quicksilver, and then some of the dragons are Dreamfire's children. A couple of them are Silverwing's children, though, but you can trace their line back to Meraxes. The cool thing, though, is that you actually have multiple dragons that are all related to each other, like dragons and their children who are all on different sides of this conflict. So it'll be interesting to see if they actually try to visualize that relationship, like if a mother dragon and her children flying around has any type of special connection. The way they talk about the dragons on the show is that they're really like large cats. So you have to think about the way that large cats treat their offspring. We get that new voiceover from Mysaria being all sneaky, trying to give Rhaenyra all these suggestions as her new mistress of whispers about how to wage war in a smarter way, like work smarter, not harder. Them passing this note with Rhaenyra's name on it just implies that they're using more of Mysaria's contacts in King's Landing. Lots of questions about who this woman in the red cloak is. I saw a ton of people asking if this was meant to be Melisandre, because Melisandre is alive during this period, just way younger. So it is possible, but remember, all the followers of the Red God, like the priests and the priestesses, wore red cloaks like this. And it's possible that during this part of history, Melisandre was still over in the Shadowlands, because that's where she originally came from. So we'll see. There might just be some light references to the Red God when we see this woman in red. It looks like Aegon gets into this larger fight with Otto Hightower, and it's probably right before he fires him as Hand of the King. There's a couple scenes they cut together with him leaving on Sunfire from the Dragon Pit. Aemond and Alicent, she looks really pissed off at him. And you get this look from Otto Hightower that seems like he's just completely given up. Like, there's nothing I can do to fix this. Aegon is messing up. All these people want is war. They're going to ruin everything. It's just going to end in bloodshed and tragedy. Really interesting scene, though. It looks like someone is bogarting a bunch of dragon eggs. Like, there are 4 here of different colors. It's not clear where this is, because remember, there are 2 different groups of dragon keepers, and these are dragon keepers holding the dragon eggs. There's the ones at the dragon pit that would be serving the greens now, technically, and the ones on Dragonstone serving the blacks. So it's not clear if these are loyal to the blacks or the greens, or somebody else is trying to steal dragon eggs. But part of the idea is that it's sort of like this nuclear arms race with both sides trying to find as many new dragon riders as possible, so dragon eggs would be very valuable to both sides. Even though technically the actual Dance of the Dragons didn't last that long, and that's not nearly long enough to hatch and grow these dragon eggs into dragons that they could actually use in a fight. In order for that to work, you'd have to have like a decades-long war. This is Daemon at Harrenhal still. We get that riot at King's Landing eventually. It looks like it happens in episode 2 because both Alicent and Helena are wearing their mourning veils still. R.I.P. to Prince Jaehaerys. Not sure what Criston Cole is doing here, just walking through the Red Keep. We get Corlys Velaryon very pissed off about the war, asking if they're only after more power just because there's so much bloodshed on both sides. Like, do we really need to do this? Then he's inside his throne room at high tide. The big thing for him, you can kind of tell from this footage here too, is all of his growing dislike of Rhaenyra and Daemon, because he feels like he's already lost so much of his family to them, like he's given so much to their cause and lost so much. And it's only going to get worse, like he's only going to lose more and more until he grows to hate them. There's a quick montage of a bunch of different scenes, real notable ones though: Rhaenyra's crown falling on the ground, Alicent getting it on with Criston Cole again, so their affair continues. Criston Cole later with a really weird haircut in the chain of the hand of the king. That's the important part. So Aegon has made him his new hand as the big battles begin because he advocates for war, whereas Otto Hightower didn't like war so much. Like, no, we need to be cautious, and Aegon was not having that at all. And basically, he tells Alicent as they're heading out to war. It looks like this is them heading to Duskendale. We get that scene of Alan Hull looking at sea smoke flying over him. Remember, he's going to ride him eventually. This is Rhaenyra with the other Dragonseeds at Dragonstone. Notice that Daemon is not here with them. Remember, he's going to be on the outs with Rhaenyra for a while. These women seem like they're part of a random brothel scene in Flea Bottom and King's Landing where Aemond gets it on with some woman. That might be what's going on here. This big battle scene, the Dragonfire, is from Rook's Rest. This is Aegon in the Black Cells, killing either Blood or Cheese. I believe they catch at least one of them, and he kills them. Not sure where this fight is taking place. Someone here looking like they're about to try and assassinate someone else, like pulling the knife out of the robes. Then we see Jace and Baela training with the crossbow. It's not a Valyrian steel crossbow, like just a regular crossbow. There's a random shot of Rhaena. We don't get a ton of footage of her, but supposedly they gave some of Nettle's plot from the books to her, so we'll see how they deal with that during the season. This is footage from the Battle of the Cargill Twins, where they actually duke it out with swords. Then they end the trailer with Vhagar's fire and Criston Cole basically saying, well, that's nothing we can do now, it's all in the dragon's hands. R.I.P. everybody. Like I said though, a lot of this footage is from episodes beyond 2, like episodes 3, 4, maybe episode 5, but I'm guessing it stops around episode 4. If there's any other Easter eggs or references or questions you have about the footage that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments and I'll add them to my future videos. Quick clarification on some plot details during episode 1 people had questions about. The showrunner actually clarified some things. A lot of people asking about Aegon and Helena's third child, Maelor, who's also a boy and could potentially be his heir. The showrunner said that Maelor doesn't exist on the show, like hasn't been born yet, just because they compressed time so much. So given what winds up happening to all the characters, I don't think that we'll actually see Maelor at all. He also clarified what was really going down during Blood and Cheese, going after Jaehaerys. He actually said it wasn't so much Daemon telling them to go after Jaehaerys, sort of confirming that Daemon wasn't directly responsible for it being Jaehaerys. It was actually all Blood and Cheese just fully choosing Jaehaerys on their own. It was all based on a mistake on circumstance. Like they couldn't find Aemond, so they just randomly picked Jaehaerys. It's just like that Denzel Washington meme, I'm leaving with something.
I see a big tray. I'm leaving here with something.
It doesn't completely absolve Daemon, like he still definitely wanted to kill someone from the Greens, but it does make him seem slightly less despicable. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up. My full episode 2 video will post next Sunday after they release it, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss that. I've got a couple other House of the Dragon bonus videos planned this week too. We also have the Boys episodes happening right now. There's so much stuff happening the next couple of months. The summer is really going to be awesome. Everybody click here for my full episode 1 video and Easter eggs, and click here for all my other House of the Dragon episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.